Okay, it doesn't look like winter, but it is out here in sunny California. And we are in fruit tree pruning season. Now, first thing you have to do when you're pruning a fruit tree is to understand what species of fruit tree you're working on and the difficult problems associated with that particular tree. So, I'm not telling anybody what kind of a tree this is yet. Let's see if you can recognize it from the bark. It's deciduous, so it's a little bit harder to tell. Let's look at the trunk of the tree. Now I can recognize these trees as soon as I come into the yard, and I know exactly what kind of a fruit tree is. I'd say 95% of the time I get them right. The times I don't get them right is we have a lot of fruit trees that are imports from tropical areas, because we have a lot of Indian population and Chinese and people from other parts of the world that try to bring in their unusual crops that I've never seen before. But most of the common fruit trees around here I can recognize. Now what I can't recognize is the different varietals of the particular tree. So if I'm looking at an apple tree, I can't tell you if it's a Washington Delicious or a Fuji or you know, any one of the multitudes of apples they are, because all the apples look fairly similar. Even when they leaf out, they look fairly similar. You kind of have to wait until the crop develops. Now, an absolute apple tree expert might be able to tell me some differences, but visually I find it really hard to see. Now, this tree right here is a Santa Rosa plum, and because it's a stone fruit, it's a very heavy fruit, and the client is older and he doesn't want the tree too tall, and he says that it produces way too many plums. He wants me to bring it down. He cut it back last year, so I'm kind of cleaning up a lot of the cuts that he made and bringing it back down. But the first thing that you have to do when you're pruning a fruit tree is to recognize that the fruit adds a lot of additional leverage and a lot of weight to the plant. So if there's any of these branches that are sticking way, way, way out and you develop a lot of fruit out here, you know that's going to pull that branch down and possibly break it. Now the neighbor has the same kind of a fruit tree over here. That's also a Santa Rosa plum, and he did it himself, or his gardener did it, and it'll survive, but it's so harsh. She's got a little prop down there, and he doesn't need that prop anymore. But a lot of the branches are completely dead and dying back. A lot of these stubs up here where he's just chopped them off, you know, there's no life left on them. So you have to really pay attention to what you're doing and why you're doing it. You can see he made a couple of cuts over there, and he actually got some pruning paint out. Pruning paint is no longer recognized as something that you have to do to trees, and there's no added benefit to it. So anyway, if you look at the tree from a distance, it's got a good balance on it. You know, it might still be just a little bit heavy up here. I cut out, what you do is you take all the big end weight cuts first. Then you get in there and you thin out all the areas so that you can reduce it. And then the final thing you're going to want to do is do all the shaping cuts, but you have to leave buds all the way around. You don't want to take harsh cuts like the neighbor did. Every one of these little bits here is going to sprout out with little buds. And come springtime, I wish I had a picture of it with all the blossoms coming on it. This is going to be absolutely beautiful. It'll be balanced. He won't get as much fruit because we took so much out of the tree, which will actually make him happy. Santa Rosa plum, one of my favorites. So, are you a happy customer?
I am a happy customer.
All right, thank you. All right.